गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉर्ट में आप सबका स्वागत है. Today evening we're going to discuss something very important to our nation. You know, any partnership or any development which India goes through cannot be at the cost of our honor or sovereignty. And this is what I thought I'll put across to all of you. Okay. Why did I take this? Because there's a debate today. Whom should we go to? USA was a strategic partner. It's virtually dissed us that strategic partnership is out. We just have a relationship. On the other hand, there is after this SEO meet and before that, there's a tour with China. So a lot of people say, let's swing to China. People say USA is not trustworthy, so go to China. People say China is not trustworthy, so remain with USA. What should we do? So the asset test in this is your honor, IZZAT, and sovereignty. Where do you get that? You do that. Okay. Now, it's a matter of honor. Honor is always important. What does this picture headline says? The majority in EU's biggest states believe the bloc sold out in US tariff deal. There's a poll conducted, all states, major states in EU. EU and USA have struck a deal. And they feel that the EU bloc and the EU Commission have sold out. IZZAT gaya. And this deal favors USA and not EU. It's a matter of honor for them now. They've lost their sovereignty. What happened to South Korea? They were building a EV plant in Georgia with Korean workers. A raid was carried out on this plant. And all these people didn't have work permits. So they've all been canned. They've all been put in jail. So you see, this little clip will explain to you more. Let me play it.
475 individuals detained on Thursday. This was during one of the largest immigration raids in recent history.
Yeah, there are the people who pretty much are trying to convey, Victor, throughout South Korea that they understand that immigration law needs to be upheld. They understand to a degree that side of the equation. But if you put yourself in the shoes of the South Koreans who are going to the United States to try to help out President Trump's vision of making American industry great again, I think people are astonished here, Victor, that even if there were visa irregularities for more than 300 South Koreans, what you've heard here in Seoul and throughout South Korea over the weekend is pretty much the following, that even if there were visa violations, how about authorities in the United States coming to this plant and saying, hey, we think that XYZ is wrong? Instead, there is an astonished and floored feeling that people have looking at this video released from ICE, seeing fellow South Korean citizens with chains around their waists led away in handcuffs. When you're talking about a key American ally right next door to China, in this critical part of the world that's trying to help out American industry, I cannot stress enough to our American audience and people watching around the world the feeling of betrayal that is emanating from all corners of South Korean society. So to wrap up where we're going here, we don't know when exactly this plane is leaving from Seoul, how long it's going to take to get all 300 plus people onto the plane and back home. We're trying to wrap up our reporting when we're going to be able to talk to the people who were detained by ICE, asking them what exactly it was like. And it's still unclear, Victor, what precise infractions people had been detained under. We have somewhat of an idea that perhaps, the visa, specific visas were not what they should have been, but it's still a pretty vague idea. But I can tell you the emotional collateral damage from this policy is still felt here, acutely so, and it's not going to go away for a long time.
So just think what America has done. It's a matter of honor. Here is Korea, who's investing in a plant in America, and their workers are getting arrested. Whatever the reasons. How do you trust this country? Tomorrow, this is a strategic partnership. That is why we'll come to that also. It's not only this. What's happened to Japan? This from the Wall Street journals. Japan's prime minister resigned after clinching the tariff deal. He clinched the tariff deal and he had to resign. One of the reasons why he resigned, it's not exactly the reason why but one of the reasons why he resigned was the tariff deal, which people consider as against Japanese interests. What is the tariff deal? Japan was to invest $550 billion into America. And they will invest where Mr. Trump tells them to invest. And the profit which is generated out of the $550 billion, 90% will go to America. And for that, in return, Japan gets a 15% tariff rate. This is the deal they had. Where's the IZZAT? Japan sold its IZZAT to America. Immediately after clinching the deal, he had to resign. Of course, he lost elections before that. All that is a different story. So if this is the kind of, and we are talking of pretty developed nations here, Europe, Japan, Korea, allies of America. So how can you trust America? And this is the article I found. This is what motivated me to do this talk today. What Israel can learn from Modi national honor as a strategic asset. You read this article in Jerusalem Post. It isn't much, but he says national honor is a strategic asset. And they say the way Mr. Modi has stood up to Trump is a strategic asset. He saved our honor. And he saved our honor with China also. There's no difference between the two. He's a strategic asset, the national honor. It is your and mine. It's our strategic asset. If I'm critical of the government, I have a right to be critical of my government. I must warn them, make my feelings known, all of us. But that doesn't mean we don't support them, especially when they're doing the right thing. And I'm sure they do the right thing. When we give our opinion in criticism or in anger or emotion, it reinforces the government to know they're doing the right thing. I hope someone sees this video of ours. National honor. And a country like Israel talking that learn from India, which has got its national honor. Very important. This is more important than GDP. This is more important than development. This is more important than progress. The latest news, I don't know whether it's right or not. Mr. Modi is one of the people who's nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. If this is true, and Mr. Trump comes to know, our tariffs will go to 200%. And if Mr. Modi gets the Nobel Prize for Peace, our tariffs will go to 600%. Then America will be our enemy. I hope that will be the joke of the century. People are selling themselves off. And a country like Israel coming out with this is what set me off on this track. Now let me examine the Chinese case, because on one hand we have China, on the other hand we have USA. Both are as bad. Yeah, look at this fellow. He's the ambassador to India, Zhu Fiyong. What does he say? For two neighboring countries of such size, unity and cooperation are the only way to achieve common development. China and India's friendship benefits Asia. We are the double engines of economic growth. He's borrowed from our double engine ki sarkar, double engine of economic growth. We discussed this. Okay. So China and India unity benefits the whole world. Yeah, all that we have the responsibility, all this nonsense the bugger is talking. And then what is the Chinese approach at the SCO and thereafter? What has come through? Of all this talk, we went and spoke. There was a meeting between Xi Jinping and Mr. Modi. What came through? They're still not taken out the non-tariff barriers. Your exports to them, there's no talk, there's no movement. They've not said we will take your exports. Russia has said you export, we'll take. China has not said that. They want us to open our customer base and our markets. They have not said, okay, we'll reduce the trade deficit. They don't want a permanent, stable solution. They're talking of early harvest. Early harvest, I keep repeating, is a BRI terminology. They want our market, but they don't want to de-escalate the border. That talk has not happened. If you see everything, de-escalation at the border has just not been spoken. What is this thing? We've spoken of mutual trust, mutual respect, mutual sensitivity to each other's bilateral relation. Have they responded positively? No. They have said there'll be multipolar world, but not multipolar Asia, because Asia, they are very clear, they are the boss. So where is the honor in dealing with them? So the terms and conditions of dealing with China have to be very clear. And what is their attitude towards Pakistan? They still say, one day after the military parade, they got together, then they say, oh, we are all with the French. We will deepen our defense and strategic cooperation. We will closely coordinate in international affairs and regional affairs. That means against India. And China has appreciated Pakistan's calm approach during the recent conflict in the region, that is Operation Sindoor. They want to continue with the CPEC. China is funding the alternate alignment to the Karakoram highway. Okay. And all this, despite the fact that our PM said any connectivity cannot be at the expense of sovereignty. Because the Chinese presence and the CPC through the POK is violating our sovereignty. If that is so, why should we trade with China? Why should we bring our guard down against China? And then I said this yesterday also as part of the border thing. As far as Aksai Chin is concerned, they've converted it into 2 counties of part of Xinjiang. So that control for them is better. They're consolidating that area. They're making a border road in Western Ladakh or Eastern Ladakh, sorry. They're also looking at a railway track. So that means that railway track is being made in disputed territory. So all this story about settling the border is a hoax. And of course, the dam we have spoken of. And then this article which came before Wang Yi came here, in which they very clearly said in this article, I've been saying this for the past 4 days. China may be vast, but there is no single piece of territory that can be ceded to others in any way. They're very clear. So if that is not the case, all their claims are still there. And then they say, toy hai, and what do they want? They want your fucking bloody territorial integrity and sovereignty. That is at stake. And then the articles like this come out in Global Times. India needs to have a more balanced foreign policy. What is this balanced foreign policy? The balanced foreign policy is to be with China and away from USA. Why should we do that? Forget what I do with USA. Why should we do that with China? And then this fellow, yesterday also I said this has come out. If you see his talk, he's thanking India for helping China in Second World War. As if China did everything in Second World War. What a lie. I hope you people know, everyone knows, that more Indians have died than Americans or Britishers separately in the Second World War. And Indians fought in the Burma campaign and they fought in Europe. The total number of Indians who died in the Second World War is just marginally lower than the total number of Britishers and Americans who died. Probably will be third in the list or second in the list of people. I mean, this is something people don't know. And here is China, communist China, who never fought for China. It was Kuomintang and Chiang Kai-shek's Nationalist Party who fought for China with the Americans to throw the Japanese out. These chaps were undercutting the Nationalist Party when they were fighting Japanese. And these bloody rogues now want to say that they won the war and they're thanking India for helping them. We are dealing with such people. And the worst part is these fellows who are citing either side are from the Communist Party of India. They've organized this. What a shameless lot of fellows. They've allowed all these Chinese words to come in bigger. There's no Hindi only. India mein, Bharat mein, by Delhi mein, you're not in Tamil Nadu. Even in Tamil Nadu, you could have put it in Tamil. If it's in Kerala, you put it in Malayalam. If it's in Delhi, put it in Hindi, but you put it in Chinese. And these two fellows, what can we do as Indians? Don't vote for the CPI or the CPM, the communist parties. We have enough rogues in our society who will sell themselves off to China. Am I saying anything wrong? No, I don't think so. So how can you trust this fellow? How can you trust this entire system? How can you do any deal with them without losing sovereignty? Now let's look at the other side. This fellow comes, he says we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. May they have a prosperous thing. Then he comes out with this statement, oh, I love India. I like Modi. Everything will be okay and all that. He said that, isn't it? This is the thing. We'll hear it again.
And are you ready to reset relations with India?
I always will. I'll always be friends with Modi. He's great. Prime Minister. He's great. I'll always be friends, but I just don't like what he's doing at this particular moment. But India and the United States have a special relationship. There's nothing to worry about.
He says India and USA have a special relationship. Everything will be okay. And just to follow that up, this fellow comes out and see what he says.
The bottom line is none of these countries can survive if they don't sell to the United States. And when they sell to the United States, their exports, they're like vampires sucking our blood dry with their unfair trade practices. So, look, let's see what happens. But the bottom,
he is the chosen lieutenant of Trump. And he says we are vampires sucking their blood dry. And they can't survive on their own. He doesn't even know what he's talking, but he's spoken. So, is that honor for us? So, why should we turn towards him? You look at it. We can neither turn towards USA nor towards China. Any deal has to be on equal terms. We cannot you cannot now, the time has gone where you make a nice deal with, a diplomatic deal with China or USA. And we'll come to that. The government is on right track, but we have to help them stay there. Look, for those of you who don't know, when all this is happening, yesterday there was a virtual BRICS meet. This BRICS meet was called by Brazil. So everyone participated in that. Even Xi Jinping came, but Mr. Modi didn't attend that meet. That was a great signal. I'll talk of it. Our external affairs minister spoke there. Putin also was there. Xi Jinping was there. Lula was there. President Ramaphosa was there, and our external affairs minister spoke. Now, what did he speak? I don't know how many of you saw it or not. This was supposed to be an extraordinary meet of the BRICS. What did he speak?
Your Highness, Excellencies, trade patterns and market access are today prominent issues in the global economic discourse. The world requires constructive and cooperative approaches to promote trade that is sustainable. Increasing barriers and complicating transactions will not help. Neither would the linking of trade measures to non-trade matters. The BRICS itself can set an example by reviewing trade flows among its member states. Where India is concerned, some of our biggest deficits are with BRICS partners, and we've been pressing for expeditious solutions. We hope that this realization will be part of the takeaways from today's meeting.
So, the very important statements he's made. Okay, we'll analyze that. Okay, this thing got reflected in South China Morning Post. And they feel that the BRICS virtual rally, has faltered. The BRICS is a faltering system now because of what India said. And, the BRIC members are not prepared to take on the US. But what is not reported is we are not even supporting China in this. And, he said that. That's what I said. Let me summarize this. Our Prime Minister skipped the meet. So it's a balancing act. He's given a signal to Washington that I'm not part of BRICS fully. And he's told the BRICS, I'm not going to be part of you unless my honor is, and, both those, honor, IZZAT, and sovereignty. Our EM said this, I'm repeating the same words. Increasing barriers and complicating transactions will not help. Neither would the linking of trade measures to non-trade matters. This is the indication he's given to USA. In the first part, go back to what he said, which I played out. This is what he said. And then he said BRICS itself can set an example by reviewing trade flows among member states. And where India is concerned, some of our biggest deficits are with BRICS partners, with China. That's what I'm reiterating what earlier stances. China is just not budging. And we've been pressing for expeditious solutions and not forthcoming. So India is recalibrating its strategy. And PM's absence in this BRICS meet, it has created space for us to deal with USA and China separately. We are neither here nor there. Now, if I talk of Russia, fine, Russia is there. But Russia is playing its own game. It wants to prop up its economy. And there's a bigger game going on. I mean, I wouldn't say bigger game. There's another game going on of the Arctic Circle, energy, yevo. I'm doing a bit of research on that. When I finish my research, I'll get back to you people. The Power Siberia 2, from Yamal Island down to Mongolia, yevo. Small modular reactors. uranium, thorium, Greenland, Arctic route. That's a different ball game. I'll talk of it later. And we have shown caution in both approach to Trump and trust towards BRICS. So we kept both of them apart. Same thing. You see, we have not gone the North Korea way where we've lost our IZZAT. Or, like, okay, or this, like this joker. Yeah. We're not like him, no? I mean, look, like, we're not like this bugger. IZZAT लूट गया. इसने तो पाकिस्तान ने तो इज्जत बेच दिया. Right? So we'll come to that. We'll come to the rest of the things also. Right? What is the path we are taking? And why should we be worried at all? Fine, we'll have problems. We might not develop at the pace at which we are developing. We might not have a growth of 7.4 or 7.8%. Doesn't matter. Let it be only 6%. We'll still grow fastest. People will come to us. When the time comes, no one can deny you what is yours. We are not in competition with China. We are not in competition with the USA. People say, oh, China में होता है. Let it होने दो यार. क्या फर्क पड़ता है? उनके लोगों ने अपना जमीर बेच दिया. तुम्हारा तो इज्जत है. Nothing more than izzat. So let me tell you what are the all options. People say, I'll give it to you in a consolidated form. Look, this is what last month the president of Philippines, Ferdinand Marcos, came to India. We had a lot of deals, defense deal, all that. But what is more important is this speech he gave before he came from Philippines, before he came to India. I want you to listen to this because this is all about IZZAT.
It's with high expectations and much anticipation that I leave for New Delhi upon the very gracious invitation of PM Narendra Modi. India has been a long valued friend of the Philippines. Filipinos and Indians have had mutually beneficial interactions since pre-colonial times. Throughout our history, Philippine culture has been deeply enriched by our exchanges with the Indian civilization, which have long influenced our language.
So what he says, Philippine culture has been influenced by Indian civilization before colonial times. And see what further he says.
Our literature, customs, and even our folklore. For instance, the term Maharlika, which is an ancient Tagalog society, which in ancient Tagalog society was referred to as a class of free men who were obligated to serve the Datu in battle, is actually derived from Sanskrit, one of the ancient languages of the Indian subcontinent. These early contacts between Filipinos and Indians, which were sustained and amplified by the communities, the commonalities in our values, in our cultures, have translated into a very long-standing, strong friendship between our countries and our people. This visit to India will cap a year-long commemoration of this.
Look at that. That's the izzat you want. Now people have started recognizing what we have given to other countries. And the result is that, look, 3 of our destroyers went to Philippines to do a exercise with them. And we were the only country who carried out an exercise in the South China Sea. Not even America has done that with Philippines. And Philippines is supposed to be with a defense treaty, a defense ally. USA is supposed to guarantee the defense of Philippines against China. They also have not done that, what we have done. Izzat, honor each other. This is not this. This is yesterday. Israel and India, this is a picture. Israel and India have signed an agreement. Bilateral investment treaty between Israel and India has just been signed. That's what this tweet is all about. And this is by who? From Israel, the Israel ambassador to India. People are not running away just because America and China. We should not give them too much bow. Beyond that, we have our own IZZAT and we have our own options. This is what the common in Japanese talks of us.
Japanese and India has to more closely to cooperate each other to improve ourselves. Not, to be honest, not the Western people, America, not China.
Why do you?
So he says Japanese people and Indian people are more close, not America, not China. And then this is what Japan says when before our Prime Minister landed up there. Modi's visit provides an opportunity to enhance resilience of both countries. Their problem with China and USA, we have the same problems. And that's what their ex-PM or the PM who's about to resign also said that we're going to have strengthened our relations. This is his speech when he gave there. He says, when we think of Japan's and India's strengths, right, relations going forward, we need to take advantage of each other's strength to gain solution to our challenges and help with each other. We share the same fundamental values of the Indo-Pacific region, EAO. And this is going forward. That's why the investment from Japan has doubled. I think Japanese are fools. We've also taken the same stand against China in the East China Sea. I don't know whether I've shown this earlier, but let me reiterate it. The two prime ministers expressed serious concern over the situation in East China Sea and South China Sea. And they reiterated their strong opposition to any unilateral actions that can endanger the safety as well as freedom of navigation and overflight, and any attempt to change the status quo by force or coercion. This is against China. So Mr. Modi has said it there. He went to China and said it in China. Connectivity without which violates sovereignty is no connectivity. And we've said it today. Very clear. I'm glad that this thing, but we need to reinforce their hand. And there's a new 10-year partnership between Japan on security, EAO, all that. You can have a look at it. You can freeze this and keep reading what is there in this. And then Brazil. The Brazilian Senate has passed a law. This is what this tweet says, by which they've said, please increase relations with India, trade relations. Just because China and USA have closed their doors and the premium of opening the doors is very high, why should we go to them? And this is European Union. USA is trying to tell European Union to put sanctions on us. And what does European Union say? This is Ursula von der Leyen. She has said, right, we had the pleasure of speaking with Prime Minister Modi. She spoke 3 days back. And then she says, we warmly welcome India's continued engagement with President Zelensky. Why? Because everything else has failed. It's only now Prime Minister Modi who has to speak to Putin to get the peace going. That's where it is coming. Trump's effort has failed. Europe can't speak to Putin. The only person who can speak to Putin is unless Xi Jinping or India. Xi Jinping say they will not talk, so it's only India. That's why they have to come to us. Give us respect. India has an important role to play in bringing Russia to end its war of aggression and helping creating a path forward. Okay? Looking ahead, we plan to agree on a joint strategic agenda at the next EU-India summit as early as possible in 2026. We remain fully committed to conclude the free trade agreement negotiations. And of course, our Prime Minister has also spoken. He says we want to do the India-EU free trade agreement, EFTA, and the IMEC. They're going ahead. And what I can say by December, we should be having the FTA in hand. And this, Lawrence Wong, Singapore, that gentleman comes here and says, yeah, we'll do everything with you. All this has happened just in the past 15, 20 days. These are not old, of last year. They're all within August, second half of August. And then you have started patrolling Malacca Strait, which with Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. Trust. They trust us. They have that we have the capability. And then the German foreign minister also came just before this talk with Ursula von der Leyen. This is the view of Xi Fuxian, which I shown earlier. Let me read it out. China is America's immediate rival. That's what he says. These are Chinese sitting in America. While India is its long-term challenge. We should be confident of what we are. You can read the rest later. But I've shown it already 2-3 times. And of all, this Jap is Nicholas Burns. Who's Nicholas Burns? He was a director of CIA under one administration. And then he was, for 3 years or 4 years, he was a US ambassador to China. And see what he says about India.
And the Indians are also vying with the Chinese in a way for leadership in Asia. India has surpassed China in population. India's economy is not nearly as big or as strong as China's, but if you look out 1 or 2 or 3 decades from now, this is I think it's almost like the tortoise and the hare. China.
So he says 1 or 2 decades from now, it's the tortoise and the hare story. We are the tortoise, China is the hare, and it's going to stop. This man is telling today, I said this 3 years back, you put this tortoise and hare in gunner shot and you'll get a video on that. And people laughed at me at that time. Today, people who have stayed in China, this man is was a US ambassador to China for 3 or 4 years. He is talking like that. Why should we be bothered? Yeah.
It's been racing ahead for a generation now, but India is steadily making progress. Its economy is growing at a much faster rate than the Chinese economy. So if we want to be strategic about this, we've got to think of the world we want to live in, and your little kids and my grandchildren will want to live in 15, 20, 30 years from now. We should want to have India on our side because China is going to be a competitor with the United States for our kids and our grandchildren. So I actually think if you look at all of American foreign policy, this mistake of driving India away from us, it's about the most serious mistake that I think President Trump has made since he took office.
Look,
And
I'm not bothered about whether Trump has made a mistake or not. But what he talks of India is more important to me. He says, look, just think of the world which our children or grandchildren have to live with. It doesn't include China, it includes India as far as he is concerned. Okay, that's the world. And let me tell you, our world is changing. Look at this. People are now saying, your defense is going up. What? We don't have a problem which is unsurmountable. We might be slow, it doesn't matter. We'll criticize ourselves for it. It doesn't matter. But IZZAT nahi kona hai. People are lining up outside your house for your weapons. Today they'll take one weapon, tomorrow they'll take another weapon, the day after tomorrow they'll take another weapon. You think we'll not get technology? And you don't believe me? If you don't believe me, I'm telling you today openly. You look at the video in the morning. I took a call from someone, and that someone was saying, "Sir, what technology we were inventing, or has been proven by firing. It took me 8 years to get the technology into a gun, but I've got it. I'm talking out of experience. I'm not a paper tiger. I'm proud. We have this technology which no one else in the world has. No one else, not USA, not China. And today, let me tell you, I'll admit it to the whole world. You can show it. People have offered me bribes to part with this technology. You are in air defense, your everything, strike systems, everything functions so well. You look at the future growth expansion in this country. This is the way our airfare goes up. There's something happening in our country which we need to understand. Why will people not come here? People will come. There's no other country in the world who can show this kind of a graph for growth of air traffic. Let me give you my own personal example. It is live today. I'm going to go to Pune 3 days later. Come back the next day. I have some work there. Official work. I have to address a seminar. Okay. Top guys in Pune. So I have to come back by Indigo flight. So I'm getting messages. Look, your flight, if you don't want to go by that flight, take any other flight, we'll give you a ticket and we'll give you money. I can show that on my mobile. You are booked on this flight. We are happy to have you here. If by any chance there's an offer, we'll give you 2,300 rupees plus a flight on alternate ticket on another flight and plus 2,300 rupees. I'm sure by tomorrow it will become 5,000. This is the India we are living in. It is changing. Not very long back, even when I was in service, that's 8 years back, I couldn't dream of going from Chennai to Pune direct. There's no flight. We are changing at some pace. Let's be proud of ourselves. क्या बड़ी China and USA जो करना करेंगे.